Hey guys, Riley Whippen here, back for the first time in a while. This is going to be how to simulate sports seasons, not games. So seasons this time. We're taking another step forward, and I'm going to be getting into some of the more technical stuff as well with the formulas. But this is something that I think is really accessible. Really excited to show you this. And I actually built this a long time ago with the thought of doing a video on this. And that's the one I originally described that some of you guys I know had wanted to see. But I have this sheet of, and the hardest thing for me with these is actually finding the full season schedules for these leagues. But now that I built this a while ago based on Basketball Reference, which is a nice handy site, has all the, all these, pretty in-depth stats for basketball. This model is going to be very basic. It's not, the point of this model is not to predict matches or games rather, and beat the market, rather, showcasing how to actually simulate this sort of thing and how you can go about doing it yourself. And I think I don't see, the thing with this is I really want to be careful because I do work in a job where I'm doing this seriously, where I'm actually simulating these seasons. We're actually trying to beat the betting markets. We're selling our product, so I'm not going to be able to handle over this spreadsheet. I may be able to, put the I don't know how I'd be able to do that. Somehow get you guys the schedule maybe, but not the actual full spreadsheet because it has a ton of formulas in there that I'm using actually sort of as a basis for my other models. I really don't want that out there, unfortunately, but I will explain some of the stuff that for sure, and how to how to do the basics, all that stuff. But anyways, enough about talking here. I want to get right into this here and start kind of digging in. So getting into the actual formula. So now what this spreadsheet actually is we have all the results from October 16th, first day of the season. This is 2018, and the 2019 season, of course, up until the All-Star break, which is the 14th of February. Then we have a week. They have a week off there. And what I've basically done is, okay, so up to the All-Star break, let's simulate the rest of the season. And see where teams are going based on where they were at the All-Star break. And I think that's going to be kind of interesting now that the season's over, so we can actually compare my results to the actual final results of the final regular season table. Sorry for speaking in soccer terms. I mean, it's table standings, same thing for me. But yeah, so this is what we're doing. So here we go. And let me show you the stats first. So here's our stats page. This thing I'm not going to get into. That's going to be based off of pace. So that's kind of one of the things I'll be sort of hiding because it's sort of based off of some stuff I'm doing for college basketball. I don't really want to reveal how I do that, but I'll reference it for sure. And then we have, what I like to do is I have the actual attacking ratings, or sorry, offensive. I'm thinking soccer. That's interchangeable at this point for me. Offensive and defensive ratings here, but what I like to do is I like to split it up home and then away. And for the NBA, I used 2.8 as the points differential from home to away, and how you can derive that here. So I'm adding 0.7 to offense and taking away 0.7 from defense. So that's 1.4 advantage, but that's over the average, the original here, which is 116.5 for the Bucks, anyways. That's over the original, and then when you take away, 0.7 from the points and add 0.7 to defense for the away side of things, that equates to 2.8 total points difference. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing for that. I can't remember where I got that from actually. So, and like I said, the results don't really matter of this as much as the process for what you go about doing this. So even if even this returned the Knicks, whatever, 82-0, which it's impossible, but for the lack of a better explanation there, even if the results are completely wrong, it's not the point of me showing you this. It's the process. Anyway, so that's what you can use, whatever you want. You can use if there's a better number out there that you think would apply here, and you can even get the full on the actual home and away differences if you have the data for that based on each team. But I was just like I don't really care. It's for me personally, the results don't mean much. So we're gonna roll with the 2.8 number. Now going to the schedule side of things, what we're actually doing, and the reason I've highlighted this row is because it's the first game of the actual simulations. Now this formula is the formula that's going to basically run everything and return our points total. And it looks very daunting at first, but if you kind of break it up into parts here, you can sort of see what it's doing. Now, we use this index match, and I love the index match. It's pretty similar to VLOOKUP. So if you're a VLOOKUP kind of guy, you can do the same thing with that. But I'm an index match kind of guy, so I'm going to stick with my strong suits. But so index matches is we're going to be what's going to be doing is returning things from that stats sheet to the schedule, and that's the point of doing that. So if we break it up here, we have square root. So first we start off with this round. We'll get into that later because the way that Excel formulas work, it's they're encased. So we're going to look at the middle parts of the formula first, rather than looking at the outside. Then we'll take a look at the outside at the end. But here's the norm inverse. So this is our massive norm inverse, and normally it doesn't look as big as this, but the way I've done it is I'm calculating the entire mean in this formula as well. So that's why the part I'm highlighting right now, if you can see, is the calculation of the mean. And then you see the RAN. So there's a RAN. That's the probability, and you can see the probability right there. So just like I've showed you before, and the higher that RAN is going to be, the bigger that return number is going to be as well. That's the probability. Now we go to the mean, and the by the way, the standard deviation, I just have the B1 cell referenced. And the reason, if you don't know about this, the money signs, they hold the cell in place. This is some basic Excel knowledge that's really useful if you don't know. This is for me. When I figured this out, I was like, oh, this is life-changing. So it holds the cell in place, so when you fill it down, it's not going to change this cell referenced. Compared to, let's say, C863, every time I fill it down, every time one more cell goes down, it'll be 864, 865. Where if you hold it in place with the dollar signs, then the cell reference stays the same. So that's what we're doing with the standard deviation. The reason why I did it like that is so I can, if I wanted to change it, let's say, what, heck it, I'm going to go change it and make it a 12.5. Because I think 12.5 is better for the NBA. And I can just go type it in once in the B1 cell, and that's all I have to do. And then I just and everything updates, so it's perfect. So now going back down to that cell, I scroll all the way up from it. Looking at this calculation here for the points, and this isn't the most important thing because this is the most important thing for this, but and this is just the points calculation. But let's say you wanted a more basic version. What I'm trying to say is, if you want a more basic version of this, you don't need to go through and do this whole calculation if you don't want. But that's just the way I decided to do it. But it's up to you. So, and you can use that. You can sort of use that last video that I made actually, and apply it to this. So that norm inverse, the calculation for that, you can apply that same formula to this, and it'll work out the same. So that's what's really nice about it. Kind of connect together pretty well. So looking at this formula now, the first part of it here, we have a square root, and it's returning. So focus on this part highlighted here. So you have a square root, and it's indexing. So how you can tell what it's indexing is this first part. And the match is simply matching the team that's referenced, which is the home team. So this is, we're projecting in this game, we're projecting Portland's points total based on Portland's stats, and then the net stats who they're playing, who they played rather, on the 21st of February. So we're referencing here stats K2 through K31, and we're returning Portland's value for that with that match. So we're matching Portland's number here, or Portland's cell here, with and that B2, that stats B2 through B31 is going to be that list of teams. So it's returning Portland's number for this column. And that's going to be returning, if we go back and look now, and I just got a low number there. It's going to be returning their home defense right there. Their home, away. This is different because I haven't looked at this in a while, have I? Oh, yeah. So the visitors first. So we're actually returning. I was going to say that doesn't make any sense. So Portland's actually the away team in this sense. So we're returning the away attack rating, or in soccer it's attack. NBA or American sports it's offense. Same thing for me. Interchangeable. But so we're returning their away attack, and then we're going to square. And this is how basic it is. We're just going to multiply it by the home defense, which is that J cell, the Brooklyn Nets. And you can see that we're referencing, if you look at that match, if you see that highlighted red cell right there, we are referencing Brooklyn's number for this, which is in stats J2. And that's going to be, like I said, that home defense. And all we're doing is we're multiplying the away attack by home defense, and then we just square root it. So we're getting the square root of those two multiplied. It's basic, very, very basic. Not going to do very well in regards to the markets here, which is, sort of my point. I don't really want to, I'm not trying to build an in-depth, model that's being the markets here. That's not the point of the video. But very, very basic, and that's going to return our projected points for Portland in that game. But we're also going to add a little multiplier on there for pace, and that's what this next part does. And that's the number I don't really want to talk about because it kind of has to do with my college basketball model. So I'm not going to go into how I calculated this number. But I'm sure if you guys look at it, you can sort of figure it out anyways. So I'm just going to kind of, figure it out. If you guys can figure it out, fair play to you. But other than that, it's just basically going to adjust for pace. And that's a simple little adjustment. Shoot, this is the wrong one. Simple little adjustment that I like to make. So, obviously for, playing whatever Golden State Warriors versus, I don't even know who's, I sort of follow NBA, but at the same time, I don't. So let's say you have a high pace. Let's say you got Lakers, high pace, 103.3. I think this is just possessions per 40. If I'm not mistaken. And then you have, I guess the Bucks were pretty high paced this year too, or this past season rather. Bucks Lakers, it's going to be much higher paced and more scoring, pure scoring, than compared to a game versus you have the Grizzlies and the Cavs, who are two of the lowest paced teams in the league. So we're just adjusting for that total amount of points rather than the actual projected the difference. Anyways, so we got that down. Adjust for that. So it's the same idea. Square root of the and you're going to be multiplying that F2, which is that pace qualifier little thing right there, multiplying that by the oppositions, and then that's going to be that pace number, and that's going to be what adjusts the points total. So then that's all you do, really. It looks, and you can see it looks really complicated, but it really isn't, and it's actually a very simple way to project, and simple, and I'd say inefficient. This is not the best way to go about doing this, for sure. But a simple way of projecting a points total for a game, expected points based on your opposition, and then your given team based on the output throughout the season. So yeah, simple way to do that. And then we obviously have the standard deviation, and then all we're doing with the round is we're making it a whole number. So the round function is really useful if you want a whole number of points and you don't want, for example, soccer will do this sometimes, where you don't want like a, rough, let's say you can't score, 116.76 points in an NBA game. And since we're running the simulations the way we are, we want a whole number, and we're actually projecting that, points total for that single game. So when I hit enter, or when I hit delete right here, that's one simulation right there. One simulation has been run, and what we're going to do is we're going to simulate that one simulation 10,000 times, or actually, I think it might have been 5,000 because I didn't want it to take forever in this. Oh, no, 10,000. Wow, I did full send it there. Okay, so full send, 10,000 simulations. Brilliant. So what that's basically doing is it's just going to round it to a whole number, and we get that projected point total for the game. And same idea for the away team, same formula. Like I said, this is the beauty of Excel, and the beauty and also the pain of Excel, because these formulas can get so complicated. And in reality, they're doing something very simple. So if you got something like R, you got something like Python, you can do this stuff a lot easier. But I've just kind of stuck, and the reason why I've stuck with Excel is, I'm very familiar with it. I can pull those, index matches out of a hat kind of thing. Not as familiar with the other two. I'll get, actually R I'm pretty familiar with, but Python I'll probably work with more in college, and who knows, maybe I'll start doing Python tutorials in college pretty soon. So we'll see. But that's how you're going to get your points totals. All you're doing for the win is you're just testing, is this a win or not for the away team. So here's the away team. It's simply if D863 is greater than F863, then 0, and that D63, actually this is the home one, I think. Yeah, I was gonna say that better be the home one, otherwise I did this wrong. So if the home or the away team's total is greater than the home team's total, then we return a 0, and if it's not, then we return a 1. And then the other one, we can do something even same idea but simpler. If that G, which is that just recently returned home team win, if it's a 1, which represents a home team win, then this returns a 0. If it's not a 1, then it returns a 1. So very simple stuff here to get that win. And the way you can go about doing this, other ways too, is actually returning a probability, and that's going to be more of an expected win sort of thing. where here we're actually, we're simulating each game. We have that one simulation here, then we simulate everything 10,000 times. So on to that simulation page now, and as you can see here, we have a little formula. It looks a bit complicated. It really isn't at all. All it is a sum if. So we're referencing here, as you can see, we have a range, we have a criteria, then we have a sum range. So we're going to reference that schedule, and then we're going to look at E5 through E1226. And all this is doing is matching that criteria, which is in this case, the Milwaukee Bucks, to that home team. And then all the instances that they match, it's going to sum the sum range, which is G5 through G1226. So all the instances which that criteria is met, which is Bucks matching Bucks, Bucks, simulations in the simulation sheet matching the Bucks in the schedule, E5 through E1226, it's going to return all these home wins, the sum of the home wins. And that's where we're going to get this win total from. And this example is one simulation, one iteration of all the simulations, and obviously it's going to be it's going to be adding the home wins that have already happened up to the point which was February 14th, and then adding also all the simulated home wins afterwards, February 21st through whenever the season ends. I can't even remember at this point. Yeah, so that's as simple as that. And then we're also going to then obviously we have to add the away. So same thing. So we take the range of the away team. We're going to have the criteria, which is the Bucks, and then it's going to sum every single away win from that range, which is the H5 through H1226, when this criteria, which is the Bucks, meets the criteria in C5 through C1226. Which is the Bucks, being the away team in that sense. So that adds up, and then we get the total there. And if you hit delete, you get different numbers. That's neat. Row 3 is going to be one iteration of all the simulations, and we're going to highlight. I think it's AE here. Highlight all the way down. Another tip. I think I might have given you guys this last time actually. If you hit Shift click, select something, hit Shift click, it selects everything in that space, so nice and handy for the simulations. And then we're going to do some what if analysis here. We got a data table, same stuff as last time, so you can use those formulas from last time, like I said before, in here. And then we can just put A1 as the column input cell, hit OK, and then let the simulations ride here. And I was actually going to take this opportunity here to kind of explain what I've gotten into over the past few months. It's been, I think, 6 months since I've recorded a video, so I actually gotten hired as a data analyst intern for the Richmond Kickers, which is a professional soccer club based in Richmond. They're currently in USL League One, which is the third division of U.S. soccer. So great opportunity there. I think I got a lot of experience from that opportunity. I'm actually still doing remote stuff for them right now. So if any of you guys are in the Richmond area, feel free to check them out. But I'm actually heading out. I'm a freshman in college. We're heading into a freshman year of college, heading out to Colorado State. So across the country for me. But really exciting opportunity. I'll be a stats major there, and I'll be doing stuff remotely for Richmond Kickers, as well as working at a betting company, which is Clear Data Sports, cleardatasports.com if you want to check us out for them. But yeah, so really exciting stuff going on for me right now. Reason why I couldn't, be so committed to the YouTube experience, but I will have a lot more time, I think, in college, and I say that I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'll have a lot more time by myself. I'll be in my own dorm room, so a nice creative atmosphere, like I had said. So yeah, it should be pretty nice, I think, for YouTube. I'll be able to do more tutorials. I'll be learning pretty rapidly there. So I'll be majoring in stats also. I think double majoring in comp sci perhaps, so minoring in comp sci, one of the two. So I'll be learning more coding techniques, learning more languages. So Python I haven't quite mastered yet. Not that I've mastered anything yet, but Python I haven't really delved into as much. R I'm pretty familiar with. Excel I'm pretty familiar with. All this other stuff I could get into, and hey, start applying this to that stuff to stuff like this, and making more tutorials. So I think sports analytics is definitely a field that hasn't been 100% tapped into yet. There's a lot of different opportunities that I think will come up over the next few years for this sort of field. And I think these tutorials are pretty nice for people that are entry level, not even entry level, but into coding, maybe really familiar with coding, and aren't necessarily familiar with the whole sports side of things, or the opposite spectrum, really experienced in sports, watch sports for your whole life, not really experienced with Excel or any coding or all that stuff. When you meld the two together, it's a lot of fun, and you can even do this stuff for like fantasy, simulating fantasy seasons, all that stuff, for your own personal gain, just for the heck of it. I mean, I have fun doing this stuff, so this is my hobby as well as job. So great opportunity for me. Anyway, so now that the simulations have run their course, we can go check the results, and let me actually zoom in a bit here. As you can see, we have, and actually the way we're doing this is we're counting the wins here, the average of wins from all the simulations, which is the range is actually B4 through B 10,003 on that simulation sheet for the Bucks, and I had to manually go through and put all the ranges in for these teams. And one thing you can do actually, which I like to do here once I've run the simulations, if you go to the formulas tab in Excel and you go to calculation and then you go to calculation options and hit manual, then it stops running them automatically, and you can kind of see the finished results here. So yeah, here are the finished results, and we can actually compare them to the final NBA standings just for the heck of it. So I'll do that quick. NBA standings 2018-19. And we can see how close we got here. Unfortunately, I didn't separate it by conference, but as you can see here, we have, I'm going to do that. We have Bucks finished on 60. We had them on 57. Raptors on 58. We had them on 56. Golden State Warriors on 54. They finished on 57. We had them 54. So I mean, realistically, and let's see, Knicks and Cavs. We had them 22 and 21. And they finished on 19 and 17. So interesting stuff there. Bulls 24, us 22. So I mean, realistically, we're getting within 2 to 3 wins of these teams with this basic formula. And I say basic, it doesn't look basic, but the calculation is basic. And it's really, really useful. I'm actually curious to see 76ers as well. 51, we had them 50. So like I said, this is going to be really useful for you in simulating a whole season. Even if you're better, you can use this for yourself, create your own models, or if you're just, you want to, whatever, flex on your friends and be like, guys, I've already simulated the, I mean, I don't know what you guys are about, but that's that's the sort of thing I like doing. But just doing stuff for fun, kind of, simulating whatever for the heck of it, just because you can. And that's what you can do with this sort of thing if that's your hobby. Otherwise, like I said, utilizing it for personal gain, whether it be monetary gain or fantasy stuff like that too. So like I said, lots of different opportunities with this. You can use this stuff for pretty much anything. That norm inverse formula that I use is widely applicable. Like I said, it's used throughout the statistics, the norm inverse of the normal distribution. So or the inverse of the normal distribution rather. So yeah, all you need is a set of stats, a schedule, and then you can return these simulations yourself. So that's how useful Excel can be. And yeah, so hopefully this video provided some useful information for you guys. I know I'm not the best at explaining things, but I really like, I like doing this stuff. Maybe I'll end up being a teacher in this stuff too. I don't know, but this is definitely my hobby. Hopefully you guys found some use in it. Now looking towards the future, I would actually love to hear some different ideas for videos going forward. Because I know I'd said this. I know this is something that a lot of you guys would have liked. I haven't really thought too far ahead though, but I'm also definitely open to doing more, and I'll have more time as well coming up. So if you guys want to see something specific, like simulating a whole player's season, simulating, I don't know, whatever you guys can think of, that's maybe the next thing to go about, because that's the thing that first popped in my head was simulating a player's season. And that's something I've done for Premier League, actually, for my betting model. We have a age curve formula where we're calculating player growth based on age, stuff like that. Couldn't get, like I said, that's something I couldn't really get into the in-depth details of the actual formulas themselves, but teaching you how to simulate, that's something I'd love to do. So yeah, hopefully this was useful for you guys. Let me know if I use some incorrect terminology here and there. If you're more experienced than I am, of course I'm not all that experienced, but making stuff basic, I think I can do fairly decently at this point. But other than that, yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of the summer. Comment. Hopefully I'll be back for the end of the summer. Comment some ideas for videos that you guys want to see, and I'll definitely be open to doing them. This stuff really doesn't take too long for me, so not too much of a time investment. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.